Get on board the Bernier bus train. Come get on board the Bernier bus train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Oh, get on board the Bernier bus train.
Good morning, USA, and welcome to another episode of the Bernier Bus Show. Chris Hedges is here to tell us that the media elite, the liberal elite, have betrayed the people they claim to defend. The Real News Network.
At Truth Day. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Millions of people unemployed. Millions of people have lost their houses. And for a long time, the left was saying the crash is coming, the people will rise up. Well, the crash came, and some people rose up, but not in the kind of critical numbers that would have shaken, or as in the previous episode you said, terrified the elites. Why?
Because the traditional liberal elite divorced itself from the issue of justice to embrace, for the last few decades, issues such as gender equality, multiculturalism, identity politics, all of which I support. But while they busied themselves with these activities, the working class was being destroyed through NAFTA and the outsourcing of jobs, the stagnation, in essence, reduction of the minimum wage. The Democratic Party used to watch out for the interests of labor and even for the poor. But that all changed under Bill Clinton. Although Clinton, like Obama, continues to speak in that feel your pain language of traditional liberalism, they've completely betrayed the very people that they purport to represent and defend.
And even the previous ones, I mean, Truman on, they had a chance at many times, for example, to undo Taft.
So that's where we are with Obama and Clinton. That's where the liberal elite machinery is now. It doesn't give a shit about the American workers, but it says, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. So here we go into a Facebook group. We've got Bernie or bust isn't the main story, even in swing states, which you saw a couple of days ago, perhaps. And so here is Al Stewart. We're gonna roast Al Stewart today. I love Bernie Sanders and have supported him in 2016, and now with my money and my vote, I will do everything in my power to help him get the nomination, but I will not help Donald Trump if Bernie doesn't get the nod. Defeating Trump must be our number one priority, and I will vote blue no matter which candidate wins. I believe Bernie will echo my sentiment. That is the perfect statement for us to tear down, because we have to. We'll see it over and over again. It's right out of the playbook. This is where Al is coming from. Whether he likes Bernie or not, he's part of that liberal elite that Chris Hedges is talking about. So he doesn't actually give a shit about people who are less comfortable than he is. What we know about Al is not very much. Like he might protest, well, you don't know me, you don't know anything about me. But what we know is he's parroting what everyone else has been told to say. So this is what they want from Bernie Sanders. This is what they've always wanted from Bernie Sanders. This is why they haven't killed him. This is why they've let him run. And I'm not sorry for saying that, because this machinery, this Clinton machinery, will kill people if they get in the way, including Bernie. So this is why Bernie is still here. They believe that they understand that they're not appealing to the base that Bernie is. They're not appealing to the base that Trump is, which is the American worker. The Democratic Party is a dollar-drenched, dismal, in Paul Street's words, dismal dollar-drenched shadow of what it used to be. And a long time ago, not just a few decades ago. It hasn't represented the American people for a long time, the American working class for a long time. And so the reason they wanted Bernie is because Bernie does represent Americans. Bernie does have an energized base of young people, of poor people, of poorly educated people, people who have been thrown under the bus by both parties over a long time. So what they wanted from Bernie was he would bring his excited base into the Democratic fold, and then they would deny him the nomination. They've never intended to let him be the nominee for the Democratic Party. He is an existential threat to the Democratic Party. His way of mobilizing labor, his way of actually getting something done instead of incrementally promising to get things done and never delivering, is anathema to the Democrats. There's no way in hell they could allow Bernie to actually win the nomination. That's when they would kill him, according to a commentator, according to a guest on The Hill Rising. Adolph Reed Jr. said on Crystal Ball's show that if Bernie got even close to the nomination, they would kill him. And I think that's a tough thing to say, but we've seen other people die. And I think we need to understand that the Democratic Party machinery has no intention. They would much, much rather have Donald Trump than Bernie. And so if Bernie got close enough to be nominated, I think all hell would break loose. You'll see MSNBC lose their shit. You'll see WAPO. You'll see the New York Times. You'll see CNN. You'll see all the tools of the oligarchs come unglued because they can't have Bernie that close to power. Because Bernie will be the organizer-in-chief. He will mobilize the workforce if he gets elected. He will use the power of the people, not his own power, to achieve democratic reform, democratic justice, justice for workers, and everything that he proposes. And not only for white workers, but for every kind of worker, because his rising tide will lift all the ships. He will do more for women. He will do more for children. He will do more for minorities than anybody. And so they can't let him win. That's all. That isn't all about Al Stewart. That's about the liberal elites. And Al Stewart is, in this case, acting as their mouthpiece. So the answer to him is that way things will never change. If Trump is reelected, our democracy will be imperiled. Our democracy, we don't have a democracy. We have a plutocracy. I have to unpack what he's saying so that this will be a warm-up for you. If you're on Facebook and you're trying to argue with people like Al, you need to know what to say, because what Al is saying is what lots and lots of people are saying, because they're all parroting the same talking points. The worst Democrat is still 10 times better than Trump. If you don't know that, you're either very naive or a troll. At least he didn't call her a Russian troll. Dear comfortable old Democrats with landline phones, we need to talk. That was the thing to tell Al there. Did Clinton separate parents from children and put children in cages? Did Clinton lower the corporate tax rate? Did Clinton take away health insurance from millions of low-income Americans? Did Clinton welcome Russian help in his election and seek to extort Ukrainian election help by withholding vital military aid? Did Clinton cozy up to dictators around the world? Yeah. So basically, Al is pretending that Clinton and Obama were not evil. And so then the answer is to show them all the links that I've shared on the Bernie or Bust thread. If you go underneath this one, Bernie or Bust show, episode 136.1, you'll have all the things you need to discredit Obama. And if you go to the disastrous, forgotten 1996 law that created today's immigration problem, if you don't want to say that Bill Clinton put people in cages, read this. Both sides of the aisle agree that the current U.S. immigration system is broken. It's why immigration stayed a hot-button political issue and policy debate. And part of what has made Donald Trump, this is from the last election cycle, part of what has made Donald Trump the likely 2016 Republican nominee for president. But the system hasn't always been broken. Or rather, it hasn't always been broken in this particular way. Everyone remembers that in 1986, President Ronald Reagan passed an amnesty law, but what most people don't know is that in 1996, fresh off the heels of signing welfare reform, and 2 years after signing the crime bill, President Bill Clinton signed a bill that overhauled immigration enforcement in the U.S. and laid the groundwork for the massive deportation machine that exists today. So not only is Obama deporter-in-chief, so is former president, thankfully, Bill Clinton. So Al is full of shit here, trying to say that Clinton isn't the problem and Obama isn't the problem, and saying only Trump is the problem. This is the problem we have with Bernie supporters. This is a Bernie supporter talking about the Democratic Party as if it's not as much the problem as the Republican Party. So these voters that support Bernie basically are useless in the cause, the progressive cause, because what they're saying is, I'll vote blue no matter who. They're giving the DNC permission to screw Bernie again. And so what they're hoping, like I said at the beginning, is they're hoping that Bernie will bring his numbers into the Democratic fold and that they will be sheepdogged. And the other thing he said right at the top of the thread, what would Bernie do? What would Bernie want? Bernie wouldn't want us to not vote blue. Bernie told us to vote for Hillary. Well, we don't have to do what Bernie says. We have to do what Bernie wants. Bernie said, don't listen to me. His wife, Jane, also tweeted that, don't listen to me. Bernie also said, I can't tell my followers what to do. If you want to earn their votes, you're going to have to do that yourself. That's what Bernie wants. So don't be sucked into this idea that Bernie wants us to vote for someone like Hillary Clinton or for her surrogate, Elizabeth Warren. Bernie on his Twitter feed has taken a few shots at Elizabeth Warren. He is making it clear, just in the same way as when he criticized Hillary Clinton's Goldman Sachs speeches. He has differentiated his campaign from Elizabeth's in a number of ways. Probably the biggest, besides her warmongering and her imperialistic regime change war support, is Medicare for All, how she's waffling because her daughter Amelia is in the health insurance industry, because she's funded by people in the health insurance industry. She has billionaire donors who do not want Medicare for All. So there are lots of differences between, and Bernie, I can't believe, knowing who he is, I can't believe that he would want to sheepdog us again and tell us to vote for Elizabeth Warren. And it doesn't matter because, as we see on the Citizens Against Plutocracy site, it isn't just Bernie or busters who won't be shepherded. I mean, maybe you can talk sense into the Bernie or bust people. I don't know. Maybe you can tell them, hey, you're just being silly. You need to vote for the blue candidate. We can't have Donald Trump. You can say that maybe to some Bernie or busters. They might cave. But the Bernie or Trumpers are not. There are enough Bernie or Trump voters in swing states from last time, and they're still there, and they're not going to vote for Elizabeth Warren. No way. And there are enough of them to ensure that she loses to Donald Trump. So you can talk about policy, you can talk about plans, you can talk about anything you want. You can talk about how wonderful Pete Buttigieg is, who doesn't receive enough black support. Neither does Hillary. Neither does Elizabeth to get any kind of groundswell in the southern states. So Trump is going to win again. So we don't even need to talk about policies. We don't even need to talk about why you think Elizabeth or Pete would be better candidates, because the Bernie or Trump voters have taken it out of all of our hands. There isn't anything we can say to them that's going to make them change their minds. They're not going to allow Elizabeth Warren to be the candidate. And we have the point of this post here on Citizens Against Plutocracy website is to make sure that the leftist pundits understand we have about 2 months before the primary season, And they need to get off the dime here, and they need to say, look, wake up, people. Elizabeth can't win. There's no way. Pete can't win. Joe can't win. It's got to be Bernie. And if you don't believe that, it's because we haven't listened to enough voices telling us that truth. Because if the machinery warmed up and spent as much time on this issue as they have on impeachment, everybody would know all about it. And they would say, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We can't have Donald Trump. What are we going to do? Well, there's only one answer, but the word is not getting out. The liberal elite don't want that. The ones that Chris Hedges is talking about. They are betraying and have been betraying for a long time the people they claim to defend. So don't vote blue no matter who if you want to change that. If you want to change that, vote or protest. That's the other thing. They were showing the Occupy Wall Street protesters. The CIA has infiltrated and this is just a fact. You can verify this. The CIA has infiltrated the protest movement, the Occupy movement, and they have made a number of laws using mayors of bigger towns to clamp down on the protests to make it more difficult to do. They know that these protests are effective. You can go to Bolivia, you can go to Ecuador, you can go all around the world, go to France. You can see how powerfully these protest movements shake up the system and make our plutocratic overlords frightened. And that's what we need to do. I don't know how far voting is going to go. We need to get the word out, of course, that Elizabeth Warren can't be elected, but we also need to get the word out that if electing doesn't work, if we can't elect a progressive, then we need to take to the streets. I'm going to Milwaukee this year. I hope you're going to Milwaukee too. We made noise, the true left made some noise in Philadelphia last time, but we could make a lot more noise if we anticipate what's probably coming. And there's just such a difficult path for Bernie now to get into the convention without it going to a second round. And if it goes to a second round, not only do the superdelegates wade in and fix it for their anointed candidate, all of the pledged delegates, I was just reading about this, become unpledged. It's a free-for-all. If it goes to the second round, it's a free-for-all, and none of the delegates are pledged. And who knows what would happen then. It could be good, it could be terrible, but we all need to be there bearing witness, waving our flags and telling them it's not going to be okay if you anoint someone like Hillary. We already saw what happened when someone running as a centrist went up against someone running as a populist. It just doesn't work. And so we've got to get over that shit right now. We need to get this word out right now. Time is running out. We need to listen to Chris Hedges. We need to listen to Glenn Greenwald. I'm going to put him on. We need to listen to Max Blumenthal. We need to listen to Aaron Mate. They are the true voices of the left. They are the ones who won't allow the liberal elite message to go unchallenged. They don't have as big a voice as CNN, but they have a voice, or MSDNC, but they have a voice, and we need to amplify their voice. Please watch this show. I feature them on this show, and I tell you the truth on this show. I try to get the word out around the media blockade that things are not going well. The cheerleaders like Al here need to be challenged on Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit. We need to tell the truth about Obama. We need to tell the truth about Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. We need to tell the truth about why vote blue no matter who is just waving a flag of surrender. And all of this is going on right now on Facebook. This is Tompkins County progressives, but we can see that a lot of the progressives are anything but progressive if they're already waving the white flag of surrender. And the last thing Al says that needs to be rebutted: if you really want to help Bernie win the nomination, you will donate to and work for him. Making threats against the establishment is pointless. Try being constructive. You'll get that in lots of Bernie groups, supposed Bernie groups. I sometimes wonder, when you really push up against their moderators, what they'll kick you out. What they'll kick you out for is saying anything about leaving the Democratic fold. They're much more loyal to the Democrat Party than they are to progressive values. So they'll say they like Bernie. I think it's all a big ploy. I think it's a big game. I think they accuse people of being Russian bots, and I'm not accusing them of being Russian bots, but I'm accusing them of being hoodwinked and brainwashed, duped cronies of the liberal elites. They want to bring Bernie's voters in and then use them to fuel the dismal dollar-drenched Democratic Party that hasn't represented the interests of the working class for probably 100 years or more. They've rigged their system for at least 100 years to keep out populist insurgents like Bernie. And they don't want Bernie. The only reason they want Bernie is his voters. They don't have any intention of letting him anywhere near power. And that's where we come in. So don't listen to people like Al. If you really want to donate to a cause that will help Bernie, even though Bernie will never tell you to do this, you should donate to Citizens Against Plutocracy, their PAC. They have Act Blue. You can go on Act Blue. You can keep your donations going to Bernie. Don't pull away money from Bernie. But you can also put money into the Citizens Against Plutocracy, and we can buy another billboard like the one in Philadelphia that said nominate Sanders or lose in November. This is a big deal, getting the word out with a billboard. That would be great. Or TV ads. We could buy TV ads with that. We can get the word out past the blockade that only Bernie can defeat Donald Trump. So I've got other things to say, but if you really want help, if you really want to help fight this kind of Twitter and Facebook, I don't know what to call it. It's ugly. This kind of parroting that's happening there. Then join the Revolt Against Plutocracy rap sheet. It's a Facebook group. Revolt Against Plutocracy RAP sheet. And on there, you can go on these groups and you can work to counteract the horrible vote blue no matter who dogma that's on these pages. We could really use the help in the next couple of months before the primaries begin. We could really use your help trying to get the word out in social media. Anything else? I've got lots of other ways you can help too. So just send me a Facebook message and I'll put you to work. The time is short. This guy, he says he wants to help Bernie. Now you can canvass. You can go out in the neighborhoods. You can canvass. But what you really could do is get in these Facebook groups. We have hundreds and hundreds of Facebook groups that we can get you into, and you can start to spread the message. You can start to post episodes of the Bernie or Bust show. You could post articles. You can go to the Citizens Against Plutocracy website and post articles from there. There are lots of ways you can start trouble on social media with the Bernie or Bust message. So give me a holler if you'd like to help. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Keep on burning.
Get on board the Bernie or Bust train. Come get on board the Bernie or Bust train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Go get on board the Bernie or Bust